Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Please come in, settle in, pick up a service so you can be singing with us tonight. Hopefully you picked one up as soon as you came in. Yes? In the back.
They're in the back.
Great. We are so glad to have you here tonight for a first for us, a Beatles-inspired Shabbat. In case you have no idea who the Beatles are. Okay, moving right along. Where have you been? Where have you been? So, this is an amazing night, but let me just tell you, this is, first and above all else, this is Shabbat. The chance to come together as community, to have fun together, to rejoice with each other, to sing, to pray, to eat, and just be able to savor all the goodness of community. So all of the people behind me want me to make sure that you know tonight is not a performance. Tonight is Shabbat. It's a worship service. So it's that spirit that we're singing together and they're playing music together and we get to just join in this wonderful journey together, just this long and winding road ahead into Shabbat. So my friends, we come together right now for Shabbat.
Very good. And we also will be celebrating and acknowledging the upcoming Bat Mitzvah tomorrow for Molly. So, you don't have a solo tonight. And the other thing we were going to mention is that this is being live streamed. You guys will just have the back of your heads being shown unless you're up here, you know, facing the congregation. But we thought that this would be a great event to capture. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to start out. The intention is that hopefully you'll be able to sing along with a lot of these prayers because you already know the melodies. So we're going to start with Shir Hadash, which sounds a lot like Across the Universe.
Shir
delighted to tell you that Molly Gloverman becomes a bat mitzvah this Shabbat. Let's hear some whooping for that. Woo, 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 woo. Very excited, so we are delighted to invite Molly and her parents, Bruce and Kim, forward to kindle our Shabbat lights and lead us into Shabbat in our sanctuary. We've asked Bruce and Kim to responsibly read us an introduction into our candle blessing.
We give thanks to you, O God, for this Shabbat day, which unites us as a community of faith and hope.
For the holiness of Shabbat, lead us, live the best we give thanks.
For the memories of Shabbat, enriched by generations of our people who observed it and from it drew courage to face hardship and light to banish darkness, we are grateful.
We offer thanks for the peace of Shabbat, the day consecrated to family love.
O God, our turning to you exalts our humanity. You are the joy of our life, the source of its greatness, its power, and its beauty.
Help us, O God, to find inspiration from the community. Help us to find peace with ourselves and one another.
Please rise. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Molly. Mazel tov to you, and Bruce.
And as we look at the bottom of page 2, we're coming to Lecha Dodi, and there's a chorus part that you all will be able to sing very easily. I'm going to sing it once through, and then you're going to sing it once through, the chorus, and then we're just going to go right into the song. And then you'll be able to come in every time we're singing the Lecha Dodi part. Oh yeah. Lecha Dodi. but we're going to do that one more time, and then we're going to go right into the song. And now I know how it begins again. 2, 3. L'chadoti l'krat kala Pnei Shabbat Bekabela Shamor Vezamor B'diburecha Hishmiyanu El HaMiuchad Adonai Echad Shmo Echad B'Shem Tiferet V'Litila L'krat Shabbat V'Lecha Ki Nepor Ha'alacha Nerosh Miketem Nefecha Sof Ma'aseh B'Lam Shabbat Tchila L'chadoti L'krat Kala Pnei Shabbat Bekabela Hitorei Ki Holeh Unitori Uri Shita Beri Kavod Adonai Alayim Nilam L'chadoti L'krat Kala Pnei Shabbat Bekabela Bori V'Shalom Ateret Bara Gam V'Simcha Uzola Torei Asela Bori Chala Bori Chala Bori Chala Bori Chala. Take a moment while you're up, just a brief moment, and wish people around you Shabbat Shalom. Okay, now I need to get us all back. Not so easy, not so easy. Signals on, signals on. The teachers in the congregation will appreciate that. Okay, so as we continue welcoming Shabbat, we are now getting a little help from our friends, the Malchei, the Shabbat angels, as we sing Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon. Melachei Hamachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Oh, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Oh, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Bo Lachem, rise for the Baruch on page 4.
At the bottom of page 4, let's pray together in English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide, time, and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course through eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha-ma'ari aravi.
And just as we just read about moving from day to night, we know we also move again to morning. And so our Ahavat Olam, God's everlasting love, is set to Here Comes the Sun. is the Shema, the eternal prayer for the people of Israel to be at one with God. The Shema is as old as our people. It's also as new as today, and it's also as new as yesterday. Shema, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad Baruch, Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Vaed, Kiv'o Yisrael, Adonai Please be seated.
As you're seated and as you turn to page 6, I'm delighted to invite Molly forward to lead us in the Ve'ahavta using a melody that is also from yesterday, as in about 1,000 years ago yesterday, Torah trope. Molly, come and lead us in our Ve'ahavta. And yes, you may join along with them. Page 7, on redemption.
So as we move towards our Michamocha, we have sung many melodies for Michamocha in our congregation, in the world. Most of them involve singing lai lai lai, die die die, but we have it on good authority that what they really sang was obladi, oblada. So here's another chorus. We're going to run through just one time. It's actually pretty easy. Obladi, oblada, michamocha. Who is like you? Page 7. Obladi, oblada, michamocha. wrote, more than Jews have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jews. You guys can stay up there. It's God's gift to us to make sure that we come together. Oh, that's right. Either way. So we're going to do the Shamru and come together. our tefillah. Adonai Svatai Tivkat. Adonai Svatai Tivkat. Ufiyahi Tehilatecha. Ufiyahi Tehilatecha. Adonai Svatai Tivkat. Adonai Svatai Tivkat. Ufiyahi Tehilatecha. Ufiyahi Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur V'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Ve'Bonei Ha'or Ve'Zocher Chasei Avot Ve'imahot U'Mevii Geulah Livnei V'Nehem Le'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Adonai Mechayei Hakol Atah Rav Nechoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechakech Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Holim U'Matir Asurim U'Mekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Gevurot U'Midom Melach Melech Memim U'Mechayeh U'Matzliach Yeshua Ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh ha'adamot Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yilalucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please take a moment silently with your own thoughts, either standing or sitting as you're comfortable, and you may enjoy reading the silent meditation on page 10. Shalom Ra Yisrael, Amcha Tasi Le'olam, Ki Ata Hu Melech HaKol, Melech HaKol, Lechol HaShalom, V'tov B'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, B'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Ra Yisrael, Amcha Tasim Le'olam, grant abundant peace, O God. There is no one compares with you. May you see us as good and bless us. Bless Israel forevermore. Baruch atah Adonai, havarech et amo Yisrael. May you see us as good and bless us. Bless Israel forevermore. Baruch atah Adonai, havarech et amo Yisrael. Et Amcha Yisrael Yeah, sure. So it is now, am I going to do the introduction? I'll do the introduction. It is my profound pleasure to introduce a very special guest junior intern rabbi who has been working very hard on his drush for us tonight. So may, without further ado, because I think a lot of you are familiar with him, I would like to. I'm sorry.
Eat your heart out, Noah. Yes. Now, when Rabbi Lisa Hochberg Miller suggested my talk, she said, keep it serious. She said, your sermon needs to be linked to this week's Torah portion, Exodus chapter 30, Ki Tisa. Now, I did much intense research, and come on, give me a chance. And I consulted the Talmud, as well as the written commentary and words of Rabbi Hillel, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Ringo. And so, based on those studies, let me give you my interpretation about what the story, the Parsha, is really all about. Now, keep this in your mind. Don't forget, it all happened in the Negev a long time ago, before they had Google and the internet. Now, let's get serious for a moment. Now, what the story tells us is that God and Moses are on top of the mount, busily writing the 10 Commandments. And they look down, and much to their horror, they see the Israelites whipping it up, worshipping idols. God says it's a golden calf, and Moses sees 4 idols. They have long mop-top hair. They look like women. 3 of them have breastplates. Or it could be guitars. It's hard to tell from the top of the mountain because they didn't have contact lenses or binoculars back then. But they can hear the singing. They can hear the Israelites, particularly the women, wailing and shrieking so loud you can't hear the music. And the 4 idols are singing songs that sound like, I want to hold your talus. It's been a hard 40 days and 40 nights. And Lisa in the sky mit diamonds. Moses is not a happy camper, believe me. Because when the music stops, one of the idols tells the crowd that he's become more popular than Moses. Oy vey. And according to what I studied with Rabbi Mel Brooks, what happens next is this. Pay attention, please. Moses rushes down the mount with the 12 commandments, but he trips over a rock and breaks 2 of them. Oy vey, again. So who are these golden idols, you may well ask? And also, if they were the Beatles, as we think they are, were they the Israelite Beatles? Now, it so happens that on my travels with the 4 Beatles, I found some answers for you. No, they were not Israelites, but they definitely had Jewish connections. So let me tell you how. First, their manager, Brian Epstein, was Jewish. Yes, he was born on Yom Kippur in 1936. And you may not know this, but when the Beatles decided to hire him to run the organization, Paul McCartney seriously said, let's hire Brian. He's Jewish, and everyone knows the Jews are good with money. True. And then in Montreal, Canada, when I toured with the Beatles back in an earlier century, 1964 to be exact. Anybody remember the last century? Maybe not. Ringo Starr received a death threat from a separatist movement in Canada. And they warned him, we will kill the Jew Ringo. Ringo was upset. He wasn't Jewish to start with. But just in case, they sent out a bunch of guards who actually protected Ringo while he played that night. Now, the press, being the press, refused to abandon the whole Jewish question. And a year later, in August 1965, at a Toronto press conference, Ringo was asked for the 100th time if he was Jewish. Now, with a straight face, this really happened, John Lennon stood up and said, Ringo is having his bar mitzvah tomorrow. And then he added, and Molly is having our bar mitzvah tomorrow as well. Okay. So, Ringo, for his second marriage, married a half-Jewish actress named Barbara Bach from New York. Her father was Howard Goldback from Queens, New York, and Ringo is still married to Barbara after nearly 40 years, and they live in Los Angeles. Now, here are a couple of additional Jewish Beatle connections you probably never knew. Paul's wife, Paul McCartney's wife, Linda Eastman, was Jewish, and so is his current wife, Nancy, from New York, Nancy Chevelle. And a couple of years ago, they both went to the liberal shul in St. John's Wood in London, where Paul has a house in St. John's Wood, and the rabbi called them both up on the bema and blessed their marriage. And I'm going to tell you one other intriguing chapter in the Israelite lives of the Beatles. In 1972, John Lennon hired Leon Wiles, a New York Jewish lawyer, to handle his immigration battle. Now, you may remember back then that Richard Nixon and his Attorney General John Mitchell tried desperately to get Lennon deported because of his high-profile opposition to the war in Vietnam. We're getting to the end in a minute, Rabbi, sorry. So I should tell you that the Attorney Wiles was a veteran lawyer, but he was not into rock and roll. And when he got home that night, his wife said, are you handling any other new cases? And he said, I got a call from a couple who are in show business. I think it was Jack Lemmon and Yoko Moto. Now, I spoke to Wilde's son, Michael, and he told me that when his father took the Lennon case on, the Beatle, John, realized that Leon was an Orthodox Jew, and Shabbos was sacrosanct for him. So, after sundown on Saturday night, John would call the lawyer and ask, is it okay to talk to your dad? Which I thought was very considerate. Also, I was told that when that Michael said his father knew the FBI was recording their phone conversations, and John would disguise his voice like a woman, and he told me that Leon, the lawyer, would also make life difficult for those listening in. When he spoke to his father, Harry, he would speak to him on the phone in Yiddish. And he was hoping the FBI would have to hire a Yiddish interpreter if, in fact, they knew what language was being spoken. During their long relationship, John Lennon and his lawyer became very close, and Yoko and John bought the lawyer and his wife a beautiful silver Shabbos table cup. Now, I've come full circle, and I have a quiz question for you all, and it is this. What does Nancy McCartney, the wife of Paul, say to Paul at sundown every Friday night? What was that? Good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.
His internship. And I apologies again to Rabbi Noah. Okay, you can.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Ivor, thank you. Yes. Hired. Next year you will be the senior intern for Rabbinics. You will absolutely get a pay raise. That's wonderful. That may have been one of the most creative midrashim on this Torah portion, ever. Top of page, and by the way, speaking of Ivor, you certainly, besides his book on the Beatles, if you're looking for a quick read about it depends what age you are, how quick a read this will be, but ladies and gentlemen, the Penguins, you want to talk and you want to see this great book about Beatle wannabes. So, awesome. Oh, me, right here. Perfect. Excuse me, everybody. We're on our Reading on Shabbat is a good thing. Top of page 11, our Misha Berach, our prayer of healing, asking for God's help in our being able to reach within ourselves, find courage and strength at a time that might be difficult. So join us in singing the Misha Berach, and then if there are names that you would like to lift up and share, I'll just motion around the room and ask you to go ahead and share those names as we start with this prayer of healing. All of our prayers of healing be answered. And we join together and say, Amen. Amen. We're going to continue with the Aleinu, and so I'd like to invite Molly, our bat mitzvah, and all of our bat mitzvah class who is here tonight, and in fact, all of the young people who are in the congregation, if you are still awake, come on forward to open the ark. Please just scoot your way right here between Robin and Rabbi Noah up to the bima. And for the rest of the congregation, when the ark is open, you know what to do.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו פגעי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורל עלינו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים לעושר הארץ, ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבהים מרוממים, הוא אלוהינו אלוהינו. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Before we conclude our service, I just want to take a moment to share a few announcements. Obviously, we invite you to join us for an Oneg Shabbat following our service in the Meister Hall. And we're very grateful to the Globerman family for sponsoring our Oneg in honor of Molly's bat mitzvah tomorrow. Pretty wonderful. As our weekend moves along, bat mitzvah tomorrow morning, Havdalah tomorrow night, Torah School Havdalah night. Come at 6 o'clock for dinner. If you did not make reservations yet, talk to Danielle at the Oneg. And 6:30 we start with projects and Havdalah with Rabbi Noah tomorrow night. Pretty awesome.
Rabbi Lisa, I also wanted to mention just a couple of extra selections at the Oneg. We're going to have Strawberry Fields Forever Shortcake and Apple Pie Records.
Perfect.
Apple Records Pie. Apple
Pretty
Records
awesome.
Pie.
Pretty awesome. Before we turn to finish this service with our final prayer and our final song, just, if you enjoyed Beatles Shabbat tonight, would you just give a little applause for everyone out there? Awesome. You cannot even imagine how much time Robin has put into researching, thinking about this, creating this service, putting together these musicians, putting together these wonderful singers from our choir. So Robin, if you would not mind coming and standing right here so we can just absolutely give some love your way. All you need is love for Robin and a little memento. I knew you'd probably figure that. Ava, go ahead, you can open it up. Yes. All you need is love and a whole lot of hard work on the part of Robin. Your very own memento for tonight.
of fun.
Which is great. Yes. We do the Beach Boys next. I was kind of thinking Motown, but we can talk about this. At the Onig, just send those suggestions right in. I love it, to Robin. Next will be, which is great. I don't know, Ivor, what's your next book? I mean, anything on the Beach Boys? Detroit? It's Bruce, Born to Nosh. Okay, next Shabbat will be the Moss.
Oh my God.
Born to Nosh. I think we got that. Thank you. Cannot thank you all enough. It just was amazing. I mean, every bit of it from, harp to percussion to the guitars. You guys were amazing. So much fun. So much fun. I'll turn us to our Kaddish prayer at the top of page 12. There's just no good way to segue from that, except perhaps with yesterday. I'm thinking back to those who have been a part of our lives in years past, for whom we still hold that sweetness, that time never diminishes. So as I share these names of loved ones on our Kaddish list, if I mention any of your loved ones, please, I invite you to rise so that we might honor you and remember your loved ones alongside you. This is still the Shloshim period for two beloved men in this community, as we remember Saul Grossman, the husband of Patricia Grossman, and as we remember Mesh Singer, the father of Leslie Singer, Allison Singer, and Rianne Singer, and the entire Singer Mishpacha. We remember these for whom this Shabbat is a yahrzeit: Herbert Berger, Louis Bernstein, Julius Bayer, Esther Braun, Israel Sharvonia, Ann Cohen, Samuel Crane, Abraham Fratkin, Lillian Friedman, Jake Friedman, Jacob Goldstein, Tilly Gottlieb, Jacob Halevi, Florence Hurwitz, George Levy, Mark Levy, Edward Meister, Rudolph Petersdorf, Bernard Pollack, Morris Rockoff, Bertie Rosenblum, Rose Rosenthal, Solomon Rubin, Gloria Rubin, Herman Solomon, Albert Savrin, Sidney Seavey, Ruth Schaffman, William Sharp, Edward Shatsky, Edith Simon, Sarah Sorensen, Hilda Stein, Saul Wallace, Roland Wallen, Bernice Winetsky, Wolford Weiner, and Jack Yates. Let me ask if there's any names you'd like to share if you're saying Kaddish during this time period or observing a yahrzeit on this night. Please rise and feel free to share that name. Let me invite you please to rise, if you will, if you'd like to share these words of Kaddish with our community. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agalav zman kariv imru. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach l'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei tekudashah, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, da'amiran mi'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, kol yeshvi tevel v'imru. May the source of peace send peace to those who mourn and help us comfort those who are bereaved in our community. And we joined together and sang. Amen. My hunch is that Robin is going to tell you to stay standing
We
for our
have a
closing song.
which you
We'll
can
send
see.
these wonderful singers back to the bima.
Yes. And we didn't take time to introduce everybody, but we've got their names listed, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful group. Very easy to work with. Okay, here we go. Oh, say shalom. Oh, say Shalom Bimroma. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. That's the only hard part. We are say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Na 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 na. Oh say shalom. Oh say shalom Bimroma. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol